On April 11, 1961, Adolf Eichmann sat inside a bulletproof glass booth in Jerusalem and listened as the world tried to understand him. He was not the monster they wanted. He was calm, polite, almost boring. He spoke in cliches and bureaucratic phrases as if reading from an instruction manual that no longer applied. He described himself as a functionary, a logistics expert, a man who optimized rail schedules, and that was the problem. Because the story the world wanted, the one it still wants, is simple. Evil men do evil things. But Eichmann did not look evil. He looked like an accountant who had optimized himself out of responsibility. Hannah Arendt called this the banality of evil, a phrase that has been quoted endlessly and understood almost never. The point was not that evil is boring. The point was that our model of evil was wrong. Eichmann was not driven by sadism. He was not ideologically possessed in the way we imagine villains. He was driven by structure. And structure does not feel evil from the inside. The label that explains nothing. We use the word evil the way ancient cultures used demons, as a placeholder for things we don't understand and don't want to simulate. When financial systems collapse, we blame greed. When cults form, we blame manipulation. When genocides happen, we blame hatred. These labels feel satisfying. They feel moral, they feel final. They are also useless. Greed does not explain why some traders blow up banks while others walk away rich and intact. Hatred does not explain why neighbors turn on each other only under certain conditions. Manipulation does not explain why intelligent adults surrender autonomy voluntarily. If these were sufficient explanations, history would be far less repetitive. But history does repeat, precisely because we keep diagnosing behavior at the surface instead of at the organizing layer beneath it. When good people do catastrophic things, in the 1970s, psychologists ran the Stanford prison experiment. Students randomly assigned as guards quickly became abusive. Students assigned as prisoners collapsed psychologically. The experiment ended early. For decades, this was presented as proof that power corrupts. That conclusion is comforting. It lets us believe that without power, we would be fine. But later reanalysis showed something colder and more precise. The guards were not improvising cruelty. They were optimizing toward what the system rewarded. The environment collapsed time, narrowed options, and justified harm. They were not evil. They were structurally cornered. Remove the structure and the behavior vanished. Enron didn't collapse because of greed. When Enron imploded in 2001, the story was once again moral. Greedy executives corrupt traders, a few bad apples. But internal documents told a different story. Compensation was short-term. Risk was externalized. Failure was punished faster than deception. In that environment, honesty was maladaptive. Employees who flagged problems were marginalized. Employees who made the numbers were promoted. The system selected for a specific behavior profile, and then acted surprised when it got exactly that. Evil is a retrospective judgment. Here is the uncomfortable truth. No one wakes up in the morning intending to destroy a civilization. Collapse happens because time horizons shrink. Optimization targets narrow. Justifications become local and self-referential. From the inside, these shifts feel reasonable. From the outside, they look monstrous. We call the outcome evil because it spares us the harder task of understanding the process. Why this matters now. We live in an era of permanent stress, compressed timelines, financial leverage, social media outrage cycles, algorithmic reward systems. Under these conditions, entire populations are being pushed toward shorter horizons, narrower optimization, and harsher justifications. Not because they are worse people, because the environment is changing faster than our moral stories can keep up, and moral stories by themselves do not stabilize systems. A dangerous comfort. Believing in evil as a trait has one fatal flaw. It implies that removing bad people solves bad outcomes. History shows the opposite. Remove one tyrant and another rises. Break one cartel and a new one forms. Ban one ideology and it mutates because the system remains. Until we understand the structural forces that shape behavior, we will keep fighting shadows. The question this book asks. This book does not ask, why are people bad? It asks something far more precise and far more threatening. Under what conditions do ordinary humans reliably produce destructive outcomes? And just as importantly, Why do some individuals and systems not collapse under those same conditions? To answer that, we need a model that does not rely on virtue, does not assume intelligence, does not require goodness. We need a model that works even in a world populated entirely by selfish actors. That model begins not with morality but with time.